or right now out-of-control wildfire.
Scientists say one of the world's
for Typhoon Haiyan moving over the Philippines.
2018 was the fourth hottest
Climate changes.
Worldwide deforestation, relentless industrial greenhouse gas emissions, and human apathy towards the environment aggravate climate change, which has been intensifying droughts, weather disturbances, heat waves, rising sea levels, glacial melting, and ocean warming, all of which is destroying the places and food sources of animals and compromise people's livelihoods and communities.
Our problems with climate change transcend any economical and moral issues involved. Solving it secures the survival of every organism on this planet.
Carbon dioxide is one of the most prevalent greenhouse gases. Instead of solely relying on reforestation, which takes decades to complete, we recognize that some microalgae can offer alternative solutions. In this project, we utilized a three-pronged approach of curbing CO2 using a rapidly developing species, Chlorella sorokiniana. Firstly, a modified CO2 gas sensor via Arduino Internet of Things was enabled for a lifetime monitoring system of CO2 consumption, since most traditional systems only rely on biomass calculation. Secondly, a turbidity sensor was integrated to continuously provide data of microalgal concentrations for every bioreactor. Thirdly, recognizing that commercial growth media for microalgae can be expensive, we investigated processed municipal wastewater as component for the medium. The IoT-driven CO2 automated tank refill system was programmed by the researchers under the supervision of a developer from Entech Global Solutions. It was programmed in a way that as the CO2 levels inside the flask containing microalgae reaches its nadir level as detected by the CO2 sensor, it would automatically command a refill of 0.5 grams of CO2 from the CO2 tank. A solenoid valve was attached to the CO2 tank, which enables an automatic system of refill using an electric signal programmed by the Arduino. In line 76 on the CO2 level Arduino code, we have input the lowest value of the CO2 level so that as the CO2 levels inside the flask reaches this level, it would then automatically send a signal to the solenoid valve to open up for another refill. Two types of treatment simulations were employed in this study. The conventional method consisted of 5 trials of uniform amount of Chlorella sorokiniana in flasks or bioreactor grown in traditional Conway medium. For a total duration of 14 days or 2 weeks, the microalgae were exposed to 12 hours of sunlight and 12 hours of nighttime, and CO2 was regularly and artificially supplied by the assistance of the IoT. A turbidity sensor was also in situ. On the other hand, the second type of treatment simulation was grown in partially processed municipal water as opposed to Conway medium. It also consisted of 5 trials with uniform amount of and identical quantity of Chlorella sorokiniana in each bioreactor. Likewise, for a total of 2 weeks, the microalgae were simultaneously exposed to the same conditions as the first simulation group. The two groups were then compared using 3 parameters, namely carbon dioxide absorption rate, culture density, and dry biomass. Our results show that C. sorokiniana had a much denser culture when grown in pre-processed municipal waste as shown in the graph. Similarly, the microalgae absorbed more CO2 when also grown in pre-processed municipal waste as medium. Finally, C. sorokiniana biomass increased significantly when grown in pre-processed municipal waste as compared to the traditional medium. Therefore, an IoT-based groundwork system with modified culture growth approach was demonstrated by the developed system showing efficient CO2 gas capture with high potentials of mitigating greenhouse effect while producing higher amount of biomass with agro-industrial uses.